Alright, hello everybody, and welcome to my Battlebots 2021 roster thoughts and opinions. And I'm doing this a bit different than what Green Square and Pori did, if any of you guys watched their vids on the 2021 roster. But what I'm basically doing is talking about ranking the bots on how I think, like, what bots will be the most terrible and what bots will be the best. Now, I'm going to put them in tiers like tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, tier 4, so that's how the rankings will go. But first off, I just want to throw it out there. I don't really like sharing my opinions on newcomers just because, don't judge a book by its cover kind of shit. Unless book the cover is praised like it's the second coming of Christ or some shit, and in which case I will talk about that. But we'll get to that later. So, here are our newbie bots, which first up we have Triple Crown. Now, Triple Crown is kind of a kind of gives me Sidewinder vibes from the 2019 season. Um, I don't know how to feel about it, except that it's Omni Wheel, which is kind of cool. I don't know how well it will do. I don't think it will be like just looking at it, I don't think it's like the gonna be the best of the newcomers just because it doesn't look that well armored, but yeah. In 62, we have Blade, also known as Orby Blade from King of Bots, who I guess was really destructive, but I don't really remember much about Orby Blade because of how fucking terrible the King of Bots, like, rec- editing is. But yeah, Blade should probably be pretty destructive in its season. I don't know how well it'll do. It might get like the Deep Six 2019 season, but I am excited to see Blade. But I'm kind of skeptic, unlike Pori and Green. 61 is Blip. Now, this is a situation where I want to just discuss the design because Blip gets a lot of hype and I'm not really sure why. Because a lot of people in like my Discord servers have said that Blip might be the new flipper bot of BattleBots. Like, will become better than Hydra, better than Bronco, better than Sub-Zero. I'm honestly not too sure how to feel about that. One, because Blip's reach is not that well. It like it has those forks, but then they also have the wedge. It's gonna take some time for a bot to get under. And yeah, Tantrum didn't have the best reach either, but like I don't really know. I'm sure Aaron Hill will be a good driver in this with Blip, but I don't think it'll do great. 60 is Defender, which is part of the Whiplash team. I think Jason Vasquez made it. It's a bot that has like it's a control bot like overhaul, but instead of like the forks being lifting forks, they have something underneath the forks. I don't know what you call it that lifts the entire bot up, which is an interesting concept. I'm not too sure how I feel about Defender. It looks like it could get a win, but then lose every single fight after that. 59 is Dragon Slayer. I have mixed thoughts about Dragon Slayer because on one hand it looks a lot like Electric Boogaloo from Robo Games 2012, and that was a really destructive bot. But Dragon Slayer, because like Poria's told me like Dragon Slayer was a really cheap bot to make, and I'm not sure how to feel about that. Dragon Slayer just one of the newbies that I'm just like very have mixed feelings on. I don't know if it'll do well. I don't know if it'll do bad, but I'm kind of excited to see it in action. 58 is Glitch, and Pori has given this bot way too much hype. First of all, the bot is Omni Wheels, which is in and of itself a fine thing to do, but I don't have a specific opinion on it. But my main gripe is the whole corner wedge thing. So, how are they going to get the spinner to actually hit something? Because it's annoyingly hard to get a bot to, like, to get under a bot with that, and that's where the spinner is most likely to hit something. So like I don't know how I feel about glitch. I don't think it's gonna do well. I'm sorry, Pori. 57 is pardon my French, and this is another situation where a lot of people praise the spot. I don't think it'll do well. I'm sorry, guys. It just looks like it'll be a lot like um the last season's Tracer. Tracer was too compact of a robot. It was just too small, too compact, and it's got sent flying all over the place all the time. I think pardon my French is gonna be the same situation. I I'm not excited for this newcomer at all. I'm sorry, pardon my French, but I'm just not. Jaeger, which is a multi-bot team. I know there's a third bot, but I forgot what it was, and I guess they're only bringing two bots. Yeah, I don't think Jaeger will do good. It's a multi-bot team. Multi-bots never do good unless we're talking about like that one bot that made semifinals in King of Bots season one. But yeah, 55 is retrograde. Now, I don't have much to say about retrograde. It's just grabby, I guess. But I guess I heard that there's an undercutter for retrograde, like a small one, like a SME like undercutter. I don't know if it'll do well, but I can. And I know it's from Team Bloodsport. I think I'm not impressed with the art design. It's just gray. Come on, man. Riptide, which in my opinion seems a lot like Yeti. In a lot of ways, it has the two forks. The only real big difference is the egg beater instead of like the actual drum. Yeah, I'm a bit excited for Riptide. I think Riptide's one of the newcomers I'm most excited for to see. So hopefully he'll do well. Switchback. I don't know how to feel about Switchback. It's kind of like a drum spinner version of Whiplash, I guess, where it has it has the rotating lifter as well as the spinner, but I don't know how it'll do. It just looks like such. It's ambiguous. I'll give it that, but I don't know how it'll do. So next is the second tier. We get into the bots. I'm actually gonna have like full front opinions on, and tier two is bots. I think will have zero shot of making the top 32. I think these four bots will not make top 32 at all. Well, there is one that I'm hoping will surprise me because if the fourth bot on this tier actually does well, I'll kind of be happy. So let's start this. In 52nd, we have everyone's favorite bot except mine, Rusty. Now Rusty's developed kind of a new design. It's kind of a hammer bot now. Um, One of the things I will say is that I do think Rusty will perform better in this season. It might get a few decent hammer shots in. I don't think Rusty itself will do good. I think it'll just be a more entertaining Rusty than last season, but I think it'll still get fucked up a ton. Yeah, it's definitely going 0 and 3. I think every four of these bots, except like the last one on this tier, will all go 0 and 3. 51 is Ghost Raptor. The 2015 semifinal is Ghost Raptor, and I think we can all agree Ghost Raptor is the shittiest reboot semifinalist ever. Which is unfortunate because I kind of like the idea. It's kind of like a horizontal version of Whiplash in a lot of ways. So hopefully, I do want Ghost Raptor to do good, but Ghost Chuck's also been kind of a dick in previous seasons. I don't. It's gonna go 0 and 3 just because of how much it gets the snot beat out of it in every single fight. Like even the Bite Force fight, I think Bite Force used like the arena hazards to like pierce the bottom of Ghost Raptor. Like Ghost Raptor gets fucked up every time it loses a fight. It's kind of funny. So we're going into the top 50, and we have Double Jeopardy, the Cannon bot. I have zero hope for Double Jeopardy just because I don't think a Cannon bot will ever win a championship. Like it's not going to beat Tombstone or Bite Forcer, and I don't see it just. The roster this year seems so fucking stacked. There's not a lot of bots I'd say is ultimately bad. So I don't see if Double Jeopardy fights like Ghost Raptor or Rusty, it'll probably win, but like I don't see it winning unless it's one of those two bots. And the last bot on this list is Rampage. Rampage, I have some hope for to win. It's the one thing I'll say, which is kind of a gripe. It looks too much like fucking Brutus. I swear to God. And I'm also so fucking surprised Rampage actually was accepted into this year because Pori told me that Rampage said that they were like a whiplash like bot, like the lifter spinner type of the bot, but then they just come in with a vertical spinner. So why the fuck would they bring Rampage in for lying about the design and now Rampage is back? Like, this is probably like the bot no one expected to get accepted into this year because like, why would you accept Rampage of all bots? Like, fucking, I'll give Pori this. Mobius definitely should have been accepted over Rampage. But that's also one of the things. I really hope Rampage does well because of that. Because if it actually wins, does does a decent season, I'll be fucking so happy. Third tier, I this tier is bots that I do think have a shot at making the top 32, but I'm iffy on that. I, I don't know how to feel. In 48, we have Smee. How many fucking easy one in that? Yeah, Smee is a wraparound wedge thing with undercutter spinners. Didn't do well last season. Got like a 2-3 record. It did beat Mammoth, which was a sort of impressive win. Um, Smee is just. I don't know how Smee will do. It's probably going to get like one win, but then get fucked up all the time. I want Smee to fight Tombstone or like a destructive horizontal spinner so badly just to see what will happen. That'd be so fun. But yeah, I don't see Smee doing well. Might get 1 and 2. Might make semifinals on a bounty. But I don't see Smee like making bracket. 47 is Pain Train. Another bot I'm just not I don't know how to feel about. One thing I will say is that it seems like they got their low ground thing fixed because one of the big problems about Pain Train is that Pain Train had the wheels in the middle, which like in the middle of the bot, which makes it kind of hard for the forks to stay to the ground. So yeah, I do think Pain Train is definitely looks improved, but I don't think it'll do well just because I think the drum might fall off probably, which is kind of funny, but then I don't think Pain Train will do good. I do think it'll probably make a semifinals on a bounty maybe, but that's about it. 46 is Perfect Phoenix. Now, this is probably the bot that made the top 32 last year that I'm least confident in it making top 32 again. And the main problem with that is that it doesn't look changed at all. And Perfect Phoenix, if you guys don't know, I don't think Perfect Phoenix is a 250-pound robot because I'm pretty sure it's like one in the high 100 range, which is not gonna be like competitive robots. Like Tombstone is not gonna win it. It's not gonna beat Tombstone. It's not gonna beat Whiplash, Witch Doctor. Like I'm surprised Green thought this bot would beat Endgame. Yeah, I don't think Perfect Phoenix will do good. I think it'll go 1 and 2. Make semis in a bounty. Like Perfect Phoenix lost to Big Deal. Let's be real here. It's not gonna do good. And speaking of which, we got Big Dick. Big Deal, which is the Chad of Battlebots 2020, is back again. Yeah, this is another bot I'm surprised they accepted. I think it's just because they beat Perfect Phoenix is why. And you see they got a little smile on a part of their robot, which is cool. Yeah, I don't mean any offense to the captain of Big Deal when I say this, but I don't think a bot with a like I don't think a driver with only one hand is gonna do well. Like, and don't get me wrong, I want him to do well, but just it's so complicated to drive. About you definitely need two hands for it. I don't know if they have some guy helping him out drive or it's just him. Hopefully, Big Deal does well. I think it's gonna go 1 and 2, but I don't see it doing great. I don't. I'm definitely not. I definitely don't think it'll make top 32. 44 is deadlift. There is some major changes to deadlift. Well, not major, but a big change to it is deadlift is not really a lifter, but more of a grappler now, which is definitely funny because deadlift is kind of like athletic and shit. So I do think Tori thinks deadlift will do like really good, which I kind of agree with him. Deadlift might do well because it theoretically almost every in bounty perspective, it lost when it lost to Ghost Raptor and Gruff. It was kicking the shit out of Gruff and Ghost Raptor before they lost, and I genuinely think Deadlift would be hyper shock if they beat Ghost Raptor, and Deadlift could have beaten Kraken if they beat Gruff. So yeah, I Deadlift is kind of like a dark horse. I don't know how well it will do, but I really want it to do well because it beating Jackpot was amazing. So yeah. 43 is Overhaul. Yeah, I didn't think Overhaul would come in, but here it is, and I don't know how it will do. I'm leaning towards 1 and 2, and the bot. I just don't think Charles Wan is that good with Overhaul. Maybe he's been practicing a lot with Overhaul. I don't know, but when it comes to grappler bots, there's not a lot of grappler bots I'd say are like top tier. Like, is do we consider Kraken a grappler bot? If Kraken is in fact considered a grappler bot to y'all, then Kraken is a good grappler bot, but I don't think Overhaul is. It has those chunky wheels, which could probably help them survive, but I don't see them winning a lot. Probably 1 and 2. Slammo, which God fucking damn it, I don't like Slammo at all. I think Craig Dammy's kind of a dick. I don't know, and I know a lot of people love Craig Danby and people say he's great in the pits, but I just wish he'd shut the fuck up. And I'm not sure how I feel about the new paint scheme. I think it's like some kind of British reference to something British, I guess, but I don't fucking know. Um, I don't think Slamo will make bracket this year. Let's be real, they're probably gonna give Slamo somewhat tougher opponents. Like, well, to be fair, they gave him fucking Witch Doctor, even though they were 2-0, but fought like the shittiest robots in the pack. So I don't think Slamo will do great. Maybe get a win, but that's about it. And last spot in this list is Lucky. Lucky, I think, could surprise us, but I don't know. I don't know how I feel about the exposed wheels. And a big thing about BattleBots is that their Robo Games counterparts are almost always better. Like, if you look at Lucky in like Robo Games fights, it fucking took it like 3 minutes against Minotaur. I think it almost knocked out Minotaur at one point, but then it got a shit kicked out of him in the BattleBots Lucky versus Minotaur fight, which was sad. Yeah, I don't know how Lucky will do. I'm hoping it does good. I've always liked Lucky, but I don't know. Tier 4. These are bots that I'd probably bet would make top 32, but I don't feel they would go all the way. They'd probably lose in the first round. Top 40, we have free shipping. Now, if y'all don't know already, free shipping is confirmed to fight Blacksmith in like the first fight of BattleBots. So free shipping is is going to be a great fight, but I don't think free shipping will win that, and I don't think free shipping will win a lot of fights, especially since I don't think free shipping is that good of a bot. I'm sorry, guys. But free shipping will probably get fucked up a lot. And the thing about free shipping is that it's never a good bot. It's just like a bot that puts on a show, I guess. So yeah, but it could make top 32. Who knows? 39 Claw Viper. I was debating putting Claw Viper in the tier 3 in all honesty, but I I gotta say the team captain, I love the team captain. He helped me out with like ant weight stuff. And the team captain is just such a great driver with Claw Viper. Claw Viper is just so fast and agile. Like it like took it to Kraken. That was the Claw Viper versus Kraken was a great fight. So Claw Viper could surprise us this year. I definitely want him to. I definitely want Claw Viper to do good. 38 is Fusion, and this is another bot that made top 32 that I don't know how to feel about because Fusion does not look changed at all, which makes me hope that the main thing they fixed is their internals, which is hopefully what went down, but I don't know. Yeah, Fusion didn't do good last season. I think it went through 3-3, I think, the last season, but all the bots it beat were like terrible bots that only got like overall like the three bots it fought, only one of them got like a singular win on their belt, and the rest of them just took major L's. Hopefully Fusion does well, but I don't know. I don't see Fusion doing good. 37 is Captain Shredderator, and I know who its first fight is, and goddamn. Yeah, Captain Shredderator, it it didn't have a good record last season, but what it did do is showed a lot of potential. Like in realistic, Captain Shredderator basically almost beat Rotator. Like if Captain Shredderator kept its spinner going for the entire match, it would have beaten Rotator in that judge decision probably. And the fact that Captain Shredderator, its only time getting knocked out was in a fight where it basically just got immobilized on the screws is showing a lot of potential about Captain Shredderator. So I do think Captain Shredderator, this could be Shredderator's year. I know I'm putting it 37, but it, if it could make top 32 in all honesty. 36 is Gruff, and I don't like I didn't like Gruff last season. It had every single fight it did a fucking horrible job. Well, not the Extinguisher fight, but it still fucking lost to Extinguisher, so I don't count that. And in all honesty, Hypershock versus Gruff was like the second worst main event of all BattleBots history. And then it made top 32 for no reason whatsoever. It shouldn't have made top 32. I definitely would have put P1 or Captain Shredder over Gruff, but whatever. Yeah, Gruff, I don't see doing good. It's probably going to do a bit more decent than free shipping. But the main thing I saw about Gruff in 2019 that I really hope Gruff got its shit together for in this year is Gruff did not fix their damages at all. Like every single fight you saw after like their Whiplash fight, they had like crooked forks. They had no wedges or just one wedge for whatever reason. Like they got so I guess they didn't have any like spare parts maybe. Hopefully that changed, and if that didn't, they're not gonna win. Because if you've learned anything from Death Roll, if from 2019, if you don't have enough parts, you're unfortunately not gonna win. 35 is this fucking thing. Okay, guys, I hate Duck. I hate Duck so much. And if Hal Rocker, if you're watching, I have nothing against you personally, but I fucking hate your bot to no end. And I just don't like Duck. It's such a lame bot. It hasn't had a single good fight since the fucking Rumble way back in 2018. Yeah, the last chance Rumble was a good fight, but like that was kind of gonna be a good fight regardless. Yeah, I don't like Duck. It's not gonna do good, but I feel like the selection committee might kiss Duck's ass a lot, and if it goes 1-2 and it gets a postseason spot for whatever reason, it's gonna be the Gruff of this year probably. 34 is P1, the bot that got snubbed in the round, getting a postseason spot. I don't know how I feel about P1 because, on one hand, I love front hinge flippers so much. I want Stinger to come back. But P1 is I don't think it's gonna do good. It'll probably get pick up 2 wins again, but the thing about P1 is that it doesn't have that impressive of a weapon. Because like, if it was like a flipper, then yeah, it would do like really good. But it's just like a lifter front hinge flipper, so I don't know. But one thing I will say is that I just love the driving of P1. Like, it definitely has like the race car vibe to it, much like Hypershock. I want P1 to do good. Hopefully, it will do good, but I don't think it's gonna make top 32. But it definitely has a shot. 33 is Blacksmith. Guys, okay. I Blacksmith is a hammer saw now, and I don't like it. I've never liked the idea of hammer saws in the first place. Like, Sawblaze was I don't like the hammer saw in Sawblaze. It was like whatever. But the main thing I don't like about hammer saws is that it kind of just feels like Battlebots meta. Like what BBBN said in our podcast about like ranking all the 2020 bots, and then they put Sawblaze in first and said like hammer saws are the new meta. That's kind of like an unfortunately true statement, kind of, and they're bringing all these like bots that were like classic hammer bots, and it's not like Blacksmith was like a shitty hammer bot or anything. It made bracket in its last season, so it's not like Blacksmith was a shitty fucking bot that needed a like big ass upgrade. But like, yeah, I don't like Blacksmith as a hammer saw, and I swear to God, if Shatter becomes a fucking hammer saw, we're gonna have problems. Because like, the thing I love most about hammers is that just the impact alone of them, like just hitting an opponent, like even Beta, like when Beta fucking one-shotted Rusty, that was such an amazing hit. And like that one hit on Shatter versus Lockjaw, where Shatter kind of got like its hammer stuck in Lockjaw's fork, and it almost kind of lifted Lockjaw. I fucking love those hits where hammers like kind of go through its opponent and then almost lifts him up. Like that was like I fucking love Razor and whenever it does that. But I don't like Blacksmith as a hammer saw. I'm sorry. And this is now my predicted top 32. Before like we get into the season, I'll probably update it, but whatever. So 32 we have Deep 6. Deep 6 has had some major improvements. For one, it can self-right with just its weapon now, which is cool. And it definitely seems like it does still have the destructive capabilities that Deep 6 has. Now, I don't think Deep 6 will go all the way, unfortunately, just because there are so many amazing drivers that I'm going to talk about, and they could probably take on Deep Six, probably flip it over and control it. And yeah, Deep Six can self right, but Deep Six, that doesn't mean Deep Six can't still lose like that. Like Deep Six will probably go 2-1. I could see a Deep Six going 2-1, but that's about it. And it'll probably make top 32, but that's it. 31 is Mammoth. Mammoth did really great in the last season. It made quarters, and yes, I know it lost in the round of 16, but Mammoth was fucking robbed to Shatter. Mammoth should have won that fight. So Mammoth basically made quarters, and yeah, Mammoth had a great season last year, and I definitely think Mammoth could pull out some upsets, but once again, like all the destructive bots out there, like in general, Copperhead should have won the fight against Mammoth in all honesty, but like there's a ton of bots with like very destructive spinners that would like just fuck up Mammoth and just put it in parts. Like any bot that has like an extremely destructive spinner could do insane damage to Mammoth. Like Huge almost killed Mammoth like in like 30 seconds in. It almost like sniped the wheel, which would have costed Mammoth probably, but like I think Mammoth will probably make bracket again, and I don't think it'll win another fight unless it's a stupid decision like the Copperhead fight. 30 is Ice Wave. Ice Wave, I'm so glad Ice Wave is back, but there's kind of a situation I have with Ice Wave that I don't think Icewave will ever win a championship, unfortunately, just because you can't. It's so vulnerable to getting flipped, and I just don't think Icewave. I hope Icewave fixed up its weapon because it was not destructive at all against Scorpio. Like I at least thought that would be like an insanely destructive fight, but Icewave did not do well in that fight. But I loved the first Icewave Scorpio fight. That was amazing. Yeah, I'm actually gonna say Icewave will go 1 and 2, but still make bracket because like it's Icewave. But I'm glad Icewave is back. I really am. And Hijinks, who is on my fantasy league team, which I forgot the other two that I mentioned. I know one's Big Deal and the other's Overhaul. Yeah, Big Deal and Overhaul, and the other three we're getting to. Oh yeah, Captain Shredderator's also on my team. So Hijinks is on my team, and I don't want Hijinks on my team because I fucking hate Hijinks. Because you see one undercutter, you see them all. There, I said it. Yeah, I don't think Hijinks will do good. I think it's gonna do 1 and 2, but I just because Hijinks has a big reach advantage with its spinner, which is not a lot of stuff that a lot of horizontal spinners can say. Like I predicted Hijinks to beat Bloodsport just based on that logic, that Hijinks had better reach to it than Bloodsport, which Hijinks definitely could beat Bloodsport, but Hijinks will probably go 1 and 2 just because if you really look at it, all the bots that Hijinks have beat have not really had like solid drivers. Like Tracer didn't have a solid driver. Chomp had like an ingenuitive driver, but I wouldn't say it's like a good Chomp driver. Zoe was a good driver or anything. And then Trig Danby and Slammo, which he's just a fucking dick. And I think Hijinks will do relatively okay 1 and 2, have a decent postseason fight, but still lose. Mad Catter, and I have some things to say about this bot. One, I hate Mad Catter, mainly because I hate bots that have a terrible third fight. And Malice versus Mad Catter was a terrible fight. Also, I don't like the asymmetrical design. It kind of irks me. And I don't like wraparound wedges either. Like, Martin Mason, what the fuck? Also, I don't like Martin Mason. He's too obnoxious for me. But I do think Mad Catter would do well. Like, it fucked up Bale Spear and Adam 94 in its bounty fights. And to be fair, it did beat Fusion, but it probably would have lost to Ribot had Ribot not been fucking stupid. Yeah, I think Mad Catter will go 2-1, but I just don't see it beating like any big names. Like it's not gonna beat Rotator, it's not gonna beat Tombstone, it's not gonna beat Whiplash or Sawblazer, any of the bots. And yeah, I don't think Mad Catter will do well, but he'll probably do like decent. Huge is next, and I'm kind of iffy about Huge because I'm sure a lot of people have been figuring out the design to Huge. Like fucking Malice like beat Huge in a judge's decision, and it had no real strategy against Huge except it did enough damage to Huge to win it, and Huge had no control over itself. So like, there's a ton of ways people are figuring out to beat Huge, which is a main reason why I don't think Huge will do well. Like, if we were talking about 2020 rankings, I think I'd probably put Huge at like top 10 probably because Huge is fucking annoying to fight. But now people are figuring out, like, ever since actually everyone has been making strategies against Huge, but it all depends on what works. Because like even in its first fight, Sub-Zero had a strategy against Huge. It just didn't work because 2018 Sub-Zero was garbage. Yeah, and I don't see Huge winning because it will probably lose to a horizontal spinner unless the horizontal spinner is like completely unreliable. So I do feel if people have figured out the strategy of Huge, but Huge will probably still get some wins on it. Like who'd it beat in its season? It beat Kraken and Slapbox. Yeah, those are two bots that's and in fairness, those two bots had strategies against Huge too. So all these bots are making strategies against Huge that in all honesty, do work, but don't really have anything to do to it. Because, like, if you look at about like Whiplash did damage Huge a good amount in its second fight, and but like when you look at Kraken didn't really have a damaging weapon to Huge, so it didn't affect it at all. So I don't know how Huge will do. I'm gonna say 2-1. Yeah. Malice. Hopefully, Malice has fixed its design flaw where it does the thing. But yeah, Malice will probably do well. I don't think it's gonna fucking beat Endgame like Green says. Malice is not beating Endgame. I'm sorry, Bunny, if you're watching, but I don't think it'll beat Endgame. I do think Malice will still do well. It has a destructive weapon, a lot of potential, and the driver is fucking fantastic. Like, Malice is one of like the best horizontal spinner drivers I've ever seen. So yeah, I do think Malice will do good. Probably 2-1. So yeah. At top 25 is Ribot. Now, this is at the point where I think these bots could make second round, but I don't think they'll make quarterfinals probably. And 25, we have Ribot. I do think Ribot, out of all the top 8 teams last year, will probably be the worst of the bunch, because, let's be honest, it was getting fucked up to Uppercut before it just, Uppercut just decided to die. I, I do think Ribot is a decent bot, but I just don't think it'll do great because, for one, Ribot doesn't have that destructive of a weapon. Yeah, like it destroyed Axolotl, but that was Axolotl, and it did fuck up Beta. I'll give it that much. It did fuck up Beta, which is a huge accomplishment. Yeah, Ribot will probably do decent, but I don't think it'll do well because when it comes to driving, Ribot's been decent, but not anything to write home about. I can see Robot going 2-1, and then making top 16 depending on who it fights, but I don't think it'll go further than that. 24 is Rotator, and Rotator looks clean as hell this year. I love the Rotator, just gold aspect of Rotator. It's so beautiful. Yeah, Rotator didn't really impress me that much up until we got to Rotator versus uh Rotator versus Mad Cow, where it just destroyed Mad Cow. It didn't destroy it, but it did well. Yeah, Rotator never really impressed me up until like late 2020 because I was just like, oh, this bot's kind of destructive, but it's not up there. But just looking at that blade, I know it's gonna fuck some shit up. Yeah, I'm really excited for Rotator. It could make top 16 in all honesty. And in all fairness, Rotator should have made quarterfinals last year because it definitely beat Endgame. And if it beat Endgame, then we would have had a different champion. Tantrum would have won. Come on, man. 23 is Shatter. Now, I kind of like the new hammer aspect of Shatter because the big bullshit that happened between Shatter and Malice. Now Shatter can say, "Fuck you, I can still have a weapon." Now I'm at least 80% sure this isn't the same design. It's not the only hammer design. There's probably another hammer design like what they usually use. I like that. I just love Shatter. It's definitely the best hammer bot of Battlebots. It'll probably go 2-1, and it could make top 16 depending on who it fights. I don't know, but I love Shatter. I'm sure it'll do well. I maybe it'll go 3-0. Who knows? 22 is Uppercut. Now, there is a big flaw in Uppercut I want to talk about. And I do think Uppercut will do well. I'll just throw that right out about that. But I don't think Uppercut will ever win a championship. And I'm surprised so many people thought Uppercut would win a championship last year. Like, Uppercut has so much gyro problems that I don't think it'll do good. But Uppercut in a lot of ways is, I was gonna say it's a glass cannon, but that's not really accurate. I'd say it's more of a wooden rocket launcher than anything else. So yeah, I think Uppercut will do decent, probably 2-1. And but I don't think it'll go top 32 just because there's so many good drivers that would just body uppercut. Like, even uppercut versus Sable. Sable's would have probably bodied uppercut in a rematch. I'm going to be honest here. I still think Sable's would win. So, yeah. 21 is Bloodsport. Bloodsport is kind of in the same boat as uppercut, but the only problem is they keep stopping the weapon for whatever fucking reason. Yeah, I think Bloodsport will do decent this year. Probably go 2-1 and bracket, but much like uppercut, I think it'll just get beaten by good driving. Like Tantrum, that was beautifully driven by Tantrum. Tantrum did everything right in that fight up until the final bell. So yeah, I do think Bloodsport will probably make bracket, but I'm not too sure about top 16. It could definitely do it, but I don't know. 20 is Kraken, and Kraken impressed everyone last season. Like, it was like what? It didn't have a good record. It had um like a 3-3. No wait, it was like a 3-4 or something record. Not it wasn't a winning record, but Kraken. The thing that impressed everything with Kraken is just how amazing Kraken. Like every single fight Kraken was in was a fucking banger and a half. Even when it lost the decision of Black Dragon, which Kraken definitely should have won that decision. It was a good fight. Kraken is a really good bot, and I really hope Kraken goes top 16 just to so Kraken Matt Spurt can prove how great of a bot Kraken is. I really think Kraken will do well, and that's why I'm putting in top 20. 19 is my last season's predicted champ for me, Copperhead. Now, I know who me and Poria have predicted that Copperhead might take on Lockjaw because they Copperhead put up a picture of them fight of a like how they have a drum of painted and they paint a bot of and they put a painting of a bot on their drum. We think they might fight Lockjaw because of that. I don't know. It'll be a good fight if that happens. But yeah, Copperhead is an extremely destructive drum, and Jesus Christ, the drum scream of Copperhead is wild. I love Copperhead so much. I really hope it does well. And every single one of Copperhead's hits have been like amazing. So yeah. Copperhead will probably go 2-1 this season. I don't think it'll go 3-0, unfortunately, and if it gets its reliability issues fixed, it could do it. And Robert Cowan is on Copperhead, is the team captain of Copperhead now, which is honestly good. I'm not saying Zach Goff is a bad team captain, but Copperhead is like Rob Cowan is amazing. I love Rob Cowan. Also, Copperhead is now the second bot in Battlebots remake history to bring an actual animal with them to Battlebots. They brought a fucking snake with them to Battlebots, and I forgot what they called it. They called it like a Cuddles, I think they knew what it was called, but yeah. 18 is Hydra, the flipper of Hydra. Yeah, and a lot of people are going to be pissed that I put Hydra this high, and Matt Psycho's going to give me shit for me putting Hydra this high. Yeah, Hydra's definitely an amazing flipper. It did extremely well last season, and I just love Hydra so much, and just how every single time it flips a bot, it was just bodying the bot. And the thing about it is, Jake is such a great driver that it could definitely. Yeah, I don't have it in the next tier, but I definitely could put like the top 20 as well as in this tier, but in the next tier. But I, the one thing about Hydra I'm afraid of is its armor. The sides will get fucked up eventually. Like if it fights Tombstone or Witch Doctor, and maybe Witch Doctor, but if it fights Tombstone or Minotaur or something, and I know who its first fight is because I'm a supporter, but and it's gonna have a fuck of a first fight. But Hydra's a really good bot. It definitely will make bracket this year, and it could make top 16. Last up in this tier, we have Black Dragon. Fuck you, Green. Um, I, the thing about Black Dragon I've learned is that Black Dragon has nothing great about it, and that's the thing that's great about it. Is that Black Dragon has no big downside to it. It has a decent weapon, decent ground game, decent driver, decent durability. Nothing stands out, and therefore nothing is terrible, which is kind of cool. Yeah, I think Black Dragon will do great. Yeah, Black Dragon will definitely make bracket. It could go 3-0, but I'm hesitant to say that. I don't think I predicted Black Dragon to make finals last year, but that's just because a lot of the bots it fought. Like, it was definitely being Slamo and Tombstone, and probably would have been an uppercut, but it Black Dragon is a good bot, and it'll definitely make top 32 and probably top 16. It could make top 8, maybe. Tier 5, we have bots that will probably make bracket and top 16, and for top 16, we have Jackpot. Jackpot is now going to fight at its home in Vegas, which is cool, and Jackpot is definitely worth more than 4K now, so that's cool. Yeah, Jackpot was just so destructive last season, even though it only got 3-2, so retrospectively it didn't have like that great of a record. But I really think Jackpot will do good. It's just such a destructive robot, and it almost beat Rotator. Like, let's be honest, it got some good hits on Rotator. I do think Jackpot will do good. So yeah. 15 is Witch Doctor. I have had my doubts about Witch Doctor, but honestly, Witch Doctor looks pretty clean this season. And it even has like those things on the top where they can move if inverted now, which is good for Witch Doctor. Yeah, Witch Doctor is such a destructive bot. It fucks Sub-Zero up so much. And yeah, like Mike Galately and Andrea Galately are just great. I love Witch Doctor so much. And I do think Witch Doctor could theoretically get 3-0 this year, but I'm a bit iffy to say that just because I need to see their reliability and weapon. Like, Witch Doctor, you don't really know how well Witch Doctor's gonna do. It's a big wild card. It's very inconsistent, and that's one of the many things I love about it. 14, a lot of you will be surprised about this, but Hypershock is my number 14 pick, and the main reason towards this is because Hypershock is very inconsistent as well, and every even season it does like really well. Like 2016, it made top 16. 2019, it should have made top 8 seedings. Hypershock definitely should have been seeded over Sawblaze. It did so much better than Sawblaze. I don't know what the selection committee were thinking. And it took it huge, but like in odd seasons like 2015, it did kind of mediocre. I wouldn't say it did bad, but like it wasn't great. In 2018, it did terrible, and in 2020, it did terrible. So yeah, I think Hypershock will do really well, just because it looks a lot more boxy, which is kind of good for Hypershock. And hopefully they got rid of the fucking stupid Witch Doctor wedges, because the main thing about Hypershock is that it needs low ground, and those wedges do not give it low ground. But yeah, I think Hypershock will do really good. Definitely will go 2-1, probably top 16, I'll say, and I'm kind of iffy to say top 8, but they could pull it off. Who knows? 13, we have Scorpios, and Scorpios is always a fun bot to watch. I definitely think Scorpios will go pretty far, because Scorpios is just such a fucking tank. Like, it, it it did take it to Witch Doctor. It definitely didn't beat Witch Doctor, but it did well against Witch Doctor, and of course, we can't forget how it fucked up Tombstone and Perfect Phoenix. And won the Ice Wave bounty. So yeah, I definitely think Scorpios will do great. I have high hopes for Scorpios, and I do think they'll do great. 2-1 definitely. Top 16, top 32 absolutely. Top 16 probably. Top 8 I don't know, because this is where we get to like all the high tier verts, starting with Tantrum. Tantrum was the the Cinderella story of 2020, if we've ever heard of one before. Tantrum was a lot like the death roll of 2020, but a lot differently because it wasn't fucking as destructive as death roll. But Tantrum was such a fast and maneuverable bot in 2020. Now, there's one problem for me from keeping it in top 10, unfortunately, and that's because Aaron Hill isn't there. Aaron Hill was such a great driver with Tantrum, and now that Aaron is with Blip, I don't think it'll do well, unfortunately. I think Tantrum will do great. I think it'll make top 16. I don't know what I'm fucking saying it won't do well, but I don't think it'll have the same impact as it had last season. I think Tantrum will make top 16, but I don't think it'll make top 8. I don't think it'll win a title this year. I thought it would win a title last year just because Aaron Hill was such a fucking pog champ. But I don't know. I need to see Tantrum's first fight first, and the unfortunate problem with this of seeing like how good the new Tantrum driver is that they're probably gonna give Tantrum like Whiplash or Black Dragon or Shatter or Ribot or yeah, one of the bots that did like fucking amazing. Like they're not gonna give Tantrum like they're not gonna give Tantrum like Pain Train or some shit to fight. They're gonna give Tantrum like a bot that made like top 16 to championship. So that's very unfortunate for Tantrum. It's a sad situation. I do think they'll make top 16, but I don't think they'll make top 8. I'm sorry. And 11, we have the destructive undercutter of Valkyrie. Now, Valkyrie, I just fucking love Valkyrie and how much it just careens over the box entirely. It's so amazing, and all of its fights are freaking bangers. Like the Tantrum fight was decent, the Rotator fight was amazing. The Whiplash fights were all both decent. The Sub-Zero fight, the first one was probably my favorite postseason fight, and the second one was decent as well. And Valkyrie versus Extinguisher was probably my least favorite fight, but it was still good. But yeah, Valkyrie has some destructive potential. I'm actually gonna say it'll go 3-0 if it fights the like right robots, because the thing about Valkyrie is much like other bots like Uppercut or Deep Six, is that it'll definitely get overshadowed by heavy driving. Like Whiplash already bodied it twice. Sub-Zero has a decent driver and bodied Valkyrie. Tantrum did beat Valkyrie. Let's be real here. Tantrum didn't lose to Valkyrie. Tantrum just lost. Valkyrie did not win that fight. And yeah, Valkyrie will probably get a week 3-0 where it's strong 2-1. Get top 16. It could make top 8. I'd like to see that, but I I do think it'll do really good. Kicking off our top 10 is Gigabyte now. Gigabyte just gets better and better and better. In 2018, it was pretty mediocre. Had a 2-4 record. It should have been 1-5 record because it was definitely losing to Brutus before Brutus decided to just die. And in 2019, Gigabyte got like a 3-3 record, 2-2 record, 2-3, 3-2, something like that. But like this year was 2020 was on Gigabyte was on fire, and now look, Gigabyte has fire. Yeah, Gigabyte got like a freaking what was the record? It got like a 7-2 record or something. It won the Sow Bounty. It did really good, and I think Gigabyte is definitely going 3-0, and it's gonna fuck up some bots. It's definitely gonna make top 32. It's I'd say 80% out of 20 will make top 16. I have little to no doubt it'll make top 16. And it could make top 8, depending on who it's fighting. It gets kind of stacked when we get to the top 8. Well, not stacked, because y'all are going to disagree with who's on number 1 and the next one, but I don't give a shit. 9 is Sub-Zero, and y'all are gonna hate me for this, but I think Sub-Zero is gonna be the dark horse of 2021. It's such a destructive flipper. Well, not a destructive flipper, but Sub-Zero did really well in bounties, like, and that flipper is so good. And the driving style of Sub-Zero is really great, and I do think Sub-Zero can take on a lot of bots. Like, if y'all are gonna sleep on Sub-Zero if it fights Valkyrie again, or if it fights Uppercut, or if it fights Black Dragon or something, y'all are sleeping on Sub-Zero, and that's not a good idea. Sub-Zero is a really good bot, and I think it'll make it do really good this year. I think it'll make top 16. It's a stretch, but I do think they'll do it. Tier 6 is bots that I do like like they'll do amazing in the regular season and postseason, and they'll probably make top 8. And starting with that is Cobalt. Now, there were a lot of UK teams that were going to show up to Battlebots this year, and unfortunately didn't because whatever was going on. I forgot what it was. A big name in that was Apollo, or Orion in Battlebots terms. Didn't make it. But their rival, Cobalt, did. But kind of not in the same way as you expect. The Cobalt team didn't show up, but they shipped the Cobalt team to the Cobalt bot to Team Gigabyte, and now Matt Maxim of Stinger fame is driving Cobalt, which I fucking love. I love Matt Maxim. I love Stinger, and this is kind of what made me give it this tier because I think Cobalt will do great with Matt Maxim on hand. The thing that I'm worried about is have they fixed that wedge issue they had? Because if you tear off that wedge, Cobalt's probably going to lose unless you're Bombshell, where you decide to not use a fucking wedge at all. I think Cobalt will do great. It'll destroy a ton of bots, and I'm just excited to see how much destructive power it has this year. And 7 is Minotaur. God damn, we're going all the Minotaur is so destructive. If you haven't seen a single Minotaur fight besides like the Whiplash and Gigabyte fight, you don't know what Minotaur is. Minotaur is just such a murderous bot, and Daniel Freitas is amazing, and I do hope Minotaur wins. Like I don't think it'll win just because I think there are bots out there that can definitely outdrive Daniel Freitas, though very small. I know who Minotaur's first fight is, and it definitely should be a main event, but it's not, and I hate that it isn't, because it was a dream fight of mine, and it happened, but it's not a main event, and I hate it. But I think Minotaur will definitely go 3-0. It'll make top 8, definitely. Like, Minotaur is always going to make, like, bracket at the very least, and then go out second or third round. 6th is Whiplash, our runner-up of 2020, and I think it'll go pretty far this time because just Matt Vasquez is such a amazing driver, and it just has such a destructive and the spinner was really improved, which is one of the things I loved the most about Whiplash is that its spinner wasn't just fucking there the entire season like it was 2019. Like Whiplash did damage to Gruff, it did damage to Huge, it did damage to Hydra, it did damage to Black Dragon. It did damage. It wasn't just like this control bot that had a spinner just vibing there. And that's why I think Whiplash will do brilliant this year as well. Because I think that Whiplash was kind of just lame in 2019. I'm going to be honest. It was probably like my least favorite quarterfinalist going into 2019, but it did really amazing 2020, and I do think that'll do great this year. It'll definitely make bracket top 16, top 8. It could make top 4 if it's driven good enough. And this is Matt Vasquez. It probably is, but who knows? Top 5 time, and for top 5 we have Tombstone. Tombstone. This is kind of a hot take because a lot of people think Tombstone will do terrible, but I have hope in Tombstone. I know who Tombstone's first fight is in. God, that's such a gimme. Tombstone will definitely destroy all of its opponents. well, most of its opponents anyway. Like most of the bots that are in this tier, I could see Tombstone beating. Like Tombstone's already beaten Whiplash twice. It's beaten Minotaur twice, I think, once in BattleBots and once in Robo Games, and it'd probably beat Cobalt as well. But the thing that makes Tombstone even greater is that Tombstone is just such a powerful bot, and I do think its reliability has been fixed. That like as you saw in like the Black Dragon fighter, that Scorpio starter, even the end game fight, Tombstone wasn't doing great. But I do think Tombstone's gonna have a comeback here this season. It's gonna go top 8, maybe top 4. But I don't know. These 4 bots, I have high hopes about them. Tier 7, we have championship contenders. These are bots that I feel will have a good shot of winning the giant nut. And one of these bots you'll probably disagree with me with, but I don't give a shit. Number 4, this is a plot twist and a half. Yeti. No one expected Yeti to be here. Yeti made like a full ass state Facebook post about them retiring. And then we hear Christian Carlberg is coming with his bot. Like they didn't specify who Christian Carlberg is coming with. He just said he's coming with a battle bot. People are making all these weird ass theories that like it was Overkill or Minion or Mecha Rampage or Overdrive. But when they show a picture of Yeti of Christian Carlberg with Greg Gibson and Yeti, people fucking lost it. It was fucking amazing. Yeti is with Christian Carlberg, and honestly, Christian Carlberg is one of like the most trustworthy guys to have Yeti with. Like he's Christian Carlberg's a big veteran in BattleBots fame, and Yeti's going to do so great with Christian Carlberg at the helm, with Greg Gibson, and hopefully they have the forks in every single fight, because that was like the most damning thing about 2019 Yeti is that they didn't have the forks, so they got fucking thrown around every single fight. Yeah, I think this is the year for Yeti. They could win this one. I think they can win a giant nut. And I'm so fucking happy Yeti is back, because Yeti versus Lockjaw was my first ever BattleBots fight I watched, and I love that fight so much. And when I heard Yeti retired, I was so sad, because that means like the first bot that won a fight that I saw was Yeti, and now it's gone. But now it's here, which is fun. Top 3, we have Endgame. And yes, the 2020 champ is here, and I think it definitely can win the title this year as well. Endgame has fucking dismantled everything in its path. It dismantled Tombstone. It lost to Bloodsport, but whatever. It destroyed Hypershock. It destroyed Perfect Phoenix. It should have lost to Rotator, but whatever. It destroyed Shatter, destroyed Tantrum, and destroyed Whiplash. Endgame is just such a destructive bot, and those forks are such a pain in the ass to get under. Like Tantrum almost got under him, and if their spinner was working, they probably could have won that fight. But Endgame has such a destructive spinner, and I really think it'll do well. And I definitely think it'll win a title. My runner-up for this list is Sawblaze. Now, Sawblaze is such an amazingly driven bot. It has such a destructive hammer. And yeah, I hate Sawblaze, but I also think Sawblaze is an amazing robot. I really think Sawblaze will do great. It's just such a amazing robot with. And now that it has 4 forks, it has a better chance of getting under its opponents, which is good. I definitely think Sawblaze will go most likely all the way. It lost to Tantrum of all bots, which is I'm not letting Team Sawblaze live that one down. But yeah, Sawblaze did such a great job last season. It's definitely going to do a good job this season. It has a definitely big chance of winning the giant nut. It probably will win the giant nut. But there's one more bot we haven't gotten to yet, and a lot of you will disagree with me, but this is just my opinion. My opinions aren't the right opinions, they're just they're just my opinions. So take this with a grain of salt. But my predicted champion for 2021 is Lockjaw. Now, Lockjaw has a lot of people would disagree with me just because of how unwell Lockjaw did and how unreliable it seems. But hear me out. Lockjaw did so great in the Beta Bounty. Like how it threw Bloodsport up in the air was such an amazing feat, and it destroyed it destroyed Beta. It did really great. And I think Lockjaw has all its internal issues figured out. So I think it'll go far this year. I think it'll go in and win the Giant Nut. It's seventh Giant Nut for Donald Hudson. I think Lockjaw will win it for him. And I and Lockjaw is and the thing that Lockjaw brings to another level is how good of a strategist Donald Hudson is. Like ever since 2018, we saw Lockjaw just such a great strategist in Battlebots, and I really think Lockjaw will do well. I think it'll win the Giant Nut this season. I think it'll go all the way. Definitely 3-0, and yeah. So that is my opinions on all how 63 bots in Battlebots. Let me know your opinions on all the bots in the comments below. And as always, thanks for watching.